DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. We'll talk about it right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. Oh, yeah. The fireworks are starting early. This is great. It's Thursday, March 5th. We knew next week was going to be wild, but it gets started right now with this trade of DJ Moore and a 5th-round pick going from Chicago to Buffalo for a 2nd-round pick. Okay, let's get, obviously, the excitement-o-meter out here. We'll go Heath, Dave, Jamie, 0 to 10 on the excitement-o-meter.
6.
This is like for the overall trade or just for DJ Moore reuniting in Buffalo? Just a big trade like kicking off the offseason?
It's actually, you know what? It's actually a fair question. I should have.
Hey, of course it's a fair question. Do you think I ever ask unfair questions?
Oh, but yes.
No, never.
I would say that, Heath, what question did you answer?
The whole trade.
So not from a fantasy. You know what?
Yes. From the whole trade. Yes.
It's an
fantasy
8.
football analyst.
8.
It's
8
a
for
6
Jamie.
if we're combining all things involved.
It's pretty cool. This is really exciting.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
How many times in DJ Moore's career do you think he has finished higher than 25th per game, or 26th per game even, in full PPR?
2.
Once.
I'll say nunts.
Well, come on. Yeah, no, it's 2. Heath is crushing it right now. He knows like what
His
my
first year with the Bears.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
He was
2019, he was
0.7
wide
points per
receiver
game.
14 per game. Carolina was 2nd in the NFL in pass attempts. 2023, Jamie mentioned his first season with the Bears. That was the Justin Fields year. Just had an amazing year, and he was wide receiver 9 per game. He also, in 2020, he was on pace for 75 catches, 1,352 yards, and only 5 touchdowns. Carolina threw 16 touchdowns that year. So,
And who was his offensive coordinator then?
Jay Brady.
Was it?
Jay
2020 and 2021.
Yep.
This is terrific. He's been on a bad offense his entire career until last year. Finally, DJ Moore got on a good offense. They were 12th in the NFL in gross passing yards per game. I think they were 10th in scoring, but he didn't get targeted. He had 85 targets in 17 games. His lowest target share, his lowest target per out run of his career. All right, so let's talk about it. Jamie, who is drafted first? Should I include, not including running backs? Just receivers and tight ends. I won't include Josh Allen. On Chicago and Buffalo, who's drafted first?
Colston Loveland.
Heath.
Probably.
Okay. Dave?
It'll be Loveland, but it'll be close between him and
Luther Burden.
that's it. See, Heath's on one today.
I think Moore gets drafted before Burden.
Whoa.
Is that what you would do, or you think people will do?
I think that's what people will do.
I'd be surprised if people did that.
While we were waiting for Adam to show up, I asked Dave, just like, what order do you draft those guys in? And we didn't even agree on who was 2nd or 3rd either. So I think we've got 3 completely different opinions. I had it Burden, Moore, Odunze. Dave had DJ Moore last.
I had more last.
I'm fascinated. And where was Loveland for you guys? How about rank all 4 of them?
Rank or how they'll get drafted?
Rank. Your rankings.
Rank.
Loveland, Burden, Moore, Odunze.
Burden, Loveland, Moore, Odunze.
Loveland, Burden, Odunze, Moore.
Is it crazy to have any order? Could you say there's no way this guy could be one? Because I think you could make the case. Odunze is a tough sell, but I think you could make the case for all of them to be number 1.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I think you could make the case for all of them to be number 2, but I don't think you can make the case for all of them to be number 1. I don't think fantasy managers have warm, fuzzy feelings about DJ Moore. They know that name. And you said he's finished top 25 twice in his career. How many times has he finished top 15 in his career?
Twice.
He was top 15 twice?
Per game.
No.
14th once and 9th once.
Okay. So maybe people remember that and they feel good about that. He said 25th the first time. Don't laugh at me.
How many times has he
Evil brain.
finished top 14?
Well, obviously twice now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but he's always been on
I
these.
don't think people are going to be excited. I don't think they're going to be that excited about DJ Moore. They'll
He
be.
just went to Buffalo to join Josh Allen. Everybody's going to be excited.
I'm fired up. I think I want to take him first in this group.
It's amazing.
I think that's what I'm saying. When you said who's going to be drafted first, I think DJ Moore gets drafted first, depending on how tight ends go in leagues, because Colston Loveland is going to get overhyped, understandably so, as either the third or fourth tight end. So depending on how you feel about Fannin or Warren, that's going to push him up probably to a level that might not be realistic to live up to. But you just shiny new toy with great quarterback. Like, this is what people draft all the time, rightfully or right or wrong.
Rightfully, right?
I hope it's rightfully. It's a great situation for him. He's now going to be featured. If this is anything close to Stephon Diggs joining Buffalo, which I don't think it is, but if it is, you're talking about 150 plus targets for DJ Moore, which is amazing.
Yeah,
he's the forget about the fact that he's going to a new team with a quarterback that's much, much better than any quarterback he's ever played with. He's the most difficult wide receiver to evaluate from a statistical basis that I can ever remember. If you look at his career catch rate, it's 62%, which is pretty normal. In the last 4 years, it's ranged between 53% and twice 70%. If you look at his career yards per reception, it's ranged from 9.9 to 18.1.
And who was he with when he had 18.1?
He was with Brady.
It was with Joe Brady.
Now, the very next year with Joe Brady, he averaged 12.4. So
and had 163 targets.
Right. He had a 24% target share 1 year, a 27% target share the next year. If you're telling me he's getting a 25% share with Josh Allen, then he's right there in the consideration for number one.
Number one in this.
And again, number one in this
amongst this group. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bills' offense under Joe Brady, by the way, has been very slow pace and very run heavy. They've been 28th or lower in pass rate each of the 3 seasons with Brady. That is 2023, week 11 on.
But that was Sean McDermott's fault.
Maybe. But they've been 28th, 31st, 28th, and 31st in pass rate. They've been 19th, 26th, and 25th in pass attempts per game. This is just the Joe Brady era. They've gone from 32.7 pass attempts per game to 30.6, 29.1. They had Stephon Diggs that first year. They didn't have Diggs either of the next 2 years. I'd like to believe that we're going to get more than 30 pass attempts per game. Here's hoping. But that's also an obstacle.
Well, you don't give up a second-round pick for a receiver who's 29 years old with the intent to throw less.
You'd hope so. But they're obviously really good at running the football, too.
And even if it's 30 attempts per game, that's 510 pass attempts for the year. If he has the 25% target share, he gets 125, 130 targets. Yeah. That's fine.
Which is probably more than Burden and Odunze get.
And Loveland, what it's worth. Dave, what do you think? What are your thoughts here?
I'm taking the under on these numbers. I've just seen enough of this Buffalo offense with Brady calling the shots to know that we already said it, slow paced, run heavy, getting DJ Moore, giving the second round pick. It's just what they had to pay to get DJ Moore. And I have a hard time believing that we haven't seen a good Bills wide receiver for fantasy since Stephon Diggs. Now it's going to be DJ Moore, 29-year-old DJ Moore. Yeah, well, this is the best. If this is the best that they can do and they don't make any other splashes, then maybe we can talk about him being higher than, like a top 30 type of fantasy receiver, which you guys will probably think is absurd. But I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that DJ Moore is going to be a huge revelation and that he's going to be the catalyst for massive offensive change in Buffalo's offense, when what's been working for the past 2 years is run the ball, and Josh Allen plays Superman half the time with his legs. DJ Moore's good. He's the best receiver that Josh Allen will work with since Stephon Diggs was there. That's just not saying a whole lot. I'm not going to be as excited about DJ Moore as you guys are.
Okay, fair enough. I think Stephon Diggs, I was trying to look this up. I think Stephon Diggs, his first 5 seasons in Buffalo, 720 yards. Well, let's do yards per game because he didn't play
4 seasons.
5 seasons in Buffalo. Yards per game, 55.4.
2020 and 2023?
Oh, sorry. 5 seasons in Minnesota. My fault. First 5 seasons in Minnesota, 55 yards, 70 yards, 61 yards, 68 yards, 75 yards per game. 96 yards per game in his first season in Buffalo, 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think he was about a 5th or a 6th round pick that year. So that he ended up being an amazing pick. It's not the same as DJ Moore, but there's some parallels here. Again, this will be the best offense in all likelihood, this will be the best offense he'll ever have been on. He finally was on a good offense this year, and for whatever reason, just had a 16% target share. It's very strange.
Well, I mean, he was in a crowded offense, and you look at what
was it though? I mean, it wasn't really that crowded because Loveland wasn't really playing at the beginning of the year. Burden wasn't really playing at the beginning of the year, and then Odunze. There's no reason why he should have had the numbers he had.
Fair point, but
15.3% target per out run rate. That's incredibly low.
He obviously is not the same player. And to Dave's point, you're getting DJ Moore at 29. They got Stephon Diggs at what, 26, 25, 26. So there's an older player here. There is something to be said for familiarity with the offensive play caller. So this is, I'm sure, a guy that Joe Brady said, if we can get him. This is an overpay. I mean, to give a second round pick for a 29-year-old wide receiver, even though you're getting a 5th round pick back. So, Dave's saying, is this the splash, however you phrase it, is this the splash that they made? My guess is yes. They're not going to go now and spend on Alec Pierce. They're not going. They have to, the cost of DJ Moore. No, Chicago, I think, is paying some of his salary, but they're giving up draft capital and they're now paying a veteran wide receiver. So this is their move. This was their go get a guy. And so what we've been asking for is for them to go get a guy. And so where you draft DJ Moore now becomes the conversation. How much are you willing to risk on what his upside could be? I think if you're looking at it, the worst year Stephon Diggs had in Buffalo was around 16 PPR points per game. The best year DJ Moore's had was his first year in Chicago, which was just shy of 17 PPR points per game. I think that's realistic. I think it's probably on the high end, but I think it's realistic. So in those 2 years with Joe Brady, it was 13.9 and 14.1 PPR points per game. I think that's the floor. So he's probably going to be like, as bad as things were last year, he was 12.2 PPR points per game. So we're still talking about a guy that's going to be a borderline 2-3 wide receiver, I think, out of the gate. And then now, what can he ascend to? And so I think 20-ish is probably safe. Like,
okay.
You go back to those lists of wide receivers we talked about earlier today, where you took Cortland Sutton in round 5. Sutton, McLaurin, Christian Watson. I forget who else was in that.
Marvin Harrison Jr. was the 4th guy.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I think DJ Moore's ceiling is higher than all those guys.
All right, let me get a break in here. I also want to point out one thing about DJ Moore. I didn't even realize these numbers. He's got 2 straight years with about 75 rushing yards with Chicago. He had a rushing touchdown this year. So we do have to factor that in. He might have, 0 rushes or very few with Buffalo, but about 14 carries, 75 yards and a touchdown last year. That helps his per game averages as well. And he was only wide receiver 46 per game in PPR. We'll be right back. I do have a few more questions. Let's address Khalil Shakir and Dalton Kincaid. Let's address Josh Allen and what this means for him after this on FFT Express. All right, guys. Dave, Josh Allen, I think he's, going to be consensus.
Nothing changes.
Well, nothing changes, or do you take him earlier? I mean, does he get back to that ceiling of being closer to 30 points per game rather than, 26, 27 or so?
No, I don't think it'll make a difference, but not enough to make me prioritize taking him even further away from the rest of the pack at quarterback.
Anyone feeling like Heath? How are you feeling about Allen?
I'm not I'm not moving my top 200 regularly right now, but I think you might see him move up 5-6 spots based on this. Maybe he's a little bit earlier in round 3.
Jamie, the past 3 seasons, 29, 28, 25 passing touchdowns. The yards have been much lower the last 2 years because he's not throwing as much. But in those prime seasons with Diggs, when did Diggs get there? 2020? Yes. In those prime seasons with Diggs, Josh Allen threw 37, 36, and 35 touchdowns. And, he's been amazing for fantasy, but he was even better in those years. Do you think you'll move him up in your overall rankings?
I think Heath is right. 5 or 6 spots is probably safe. So I do think he is ahead of the field. I mean, that's, something that was probably going to get drafted anyway. So there is a little bit now more distance between whoever your QB2 is, whether that's Drake May or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, whoever number 2 guy will end up being. But this is a win for everybody in the major parties involved.
Except for Shakir and Kincaid, right?
But the major parties involved, like those guys, Kincaid was a borderline top 12 tight end to begin with. He's still going to be a borderline top 12 tight end. He's going to lose targets, opportunities, but they were going to get somebody. This wasn't going to be the case, so this wasn't going to be, hey, we're running it back with the same cast of characters. I do think there will be somewhat of a philosophy change in how they operate, simply because of just now who the head coach is. So I don't think Sean McDermott was holding back Joe Brady, but there was probably some reservations about how they wanted to operate and lean on their defense and their run game, and not necessarily make Josh Allen have to throw the ball all over the place. They asked him to be Superman in the fourth quarter. I don't think they want to be like that either. I don't think they want to have to be in situations where we have to go, rescue every game with our quarterback from however he was doing it. This is going to make things easier for him. So, hopefully in that case, the production comes along with it. So yes, he gets better clearly with DJ Moore.
Let's take a look at this poll here. I just put it up while we were doing our show, so only 99 votes. DJ Moore to the Bills. Who are you drafting first in PPR? Luther Burden, 34%. Romo Dunze, 25%. Colston Loveland, 22%. Oh, it's already changing. Burden, 35. Loveland now is second place at 25. Odunze, 24. But DJ Moore is a distant fourth, I guess. It's not too distant, but 16%.
Shocker.
I'm a little surprised. I thought he'd go ahead of Odunze. First of all, it's only 130 votes right now, but I thought for sure he'd be ahead of Odunze.
Yeah, I think last year must be a lot of people who just think that last year at age 28, DJ Moore fell off a cliff. But I don't think those results would be the same without last year.
Wasn't the year before even worse, Heath? I mean, the year before was horrible.
Well, the year before he had 140 targets and got 98 passes at least.
Yeah, but he didn't even reach 1,000 yards. The year before, I think
the big difference is Caleb Williams was much worse the year before.
Yeah.
His role changed in 2024. Halfway through the year, remember they fired Shane Waldron and they made more like a short area target, and his numbers perked up a lot because he got a bunch of easier throws. And then that went out the window after Ben Johnson got hired and changed everybody's role in Chicago.
I guess you could look at DJ Moore as having 2 pretty disappointing seasons in a row, even though he was, I think it was, I don't know, he was 36th per game 2 years ago, right? And so overall he was good because he hasn't missed a game in 5 seasons. But per game, I'm sorry, he was 27th per game 2 years ago. My fault. He was 46th per game last year. So you could look at that as considering he had, how many targets did he have in 2024? He had 140 targets and was 27th per game in full PPR. Yikes. But Jamie, I'll just end it with this. Jamie, you said, he's not, I think you said he's not the player that he used to be. I think that's where I'm more optimistic. First of all, we keep saying that he's 29 years old. Who cares? That's not old. He's still at the tail end of his prime. 29 does not bother me at all. But he's had such a weird up and down career that I just don't know who he is. And I'm not putting it past him to be a great receiver again, personally, Jamie. I'll throw it to you first.
I mean, look, he changed teams once and had a renaissance. And hopefully the same thing happens again. Goes to Chicago first season with clearly not the best quarterback. And I would probably think that everyone would agree, not the best offensive system.
Nope.
And he goes out and has the best year of his career. So there's a lot being asked of him right now. There's a lot being asked of him, someone who knows him. There's a lot being asked of him with a quarterback who might be the best he's ever played with. Not taking away what Cam Newton was at the end of his tenure, in the first tenure at least, with Carolina. So he now gets a chance to do what Stephon Diggs accomplished in Buffalo. We've seen 2 years now of this offense at 100 targets and 95 targets for its target leader, and that was Khalil Shakir. DJ Moore's resume is much better than Khalil Shakir's. So there's a chance for DJ Moore to have the best year of his career. There's a chance for him to put up numbers similar to what Stephon Diggs accomplished. There's a chance for him to do what he did in 2023 with Chicago. So I don't know. If you're telling me that I can get him after Romo Dunze and after Luther Burden and after Colston Loveland, I will take that all day long. I think there's amazing value there.
Okay. Final thoughts on what kind of player DJ Moore is? Does anyone feel confident in assessing what kind of player he is?
There were a lot of concerns in Chicago that he was lackadaisical on the field. And when you watch the film, you can see examples of it. I think that could get wiped out in Buffalo. I think I think there will be a little bit of a feel-good reunion between him and Joe Brady. This is going back to last August, but when practice wrapped up, those two guys made a beeline for each other to, say hi to each other. DJ's family was there. This was a Bears joint practice. I was waiting to talk to Joe Brady, and I was standing there waiting because he was spending so much time with DJ and DJ's family. And that's kind of how I knew that there was a chance of a reunion here, because if the Bears made him available, Joe Brady would want to get somebody back who he's familiar with and can work with. And I think DJ Moore can probably put in a better effort than what we saw on the field last year. And maybe he put in that effort because he wasn't the number one guy. And if things stand as they are now in Buffalo, yes, he's going to be the number one guy, should see north of 100 targets. I'm just a little nervous about trusting a Bills wide receiver and overpaying him on draft day when we've got 3 young, really quality players in Chicago who can step up, and maybe there's a target crunch between the 3 of them. There's going to be one, but it could also be concentrated between the 3 of them, and they could all end up being somewhere between, well, in the case of the receivers, 13.5 to 15 PPR points. And I think DJ Moore will come out just underneath that.
I'm taking him in the second round now.
Good.
Just fired me up so much with that Joe Brady story. I'm all in.
Yeah, Joe definitely loves him. There's no question.
Do we need to talk about the Bears?
I tried to touch on it just then.
What about it? Didn't we?
No, there's going to be huge opportunity for those guys now.
I had 85 targets to feed. He had a 16% target share. That's the other thing. It is a big deal, but he had 85 targets in 17 games. But yeah,
another way to look at it is he and Olamide Zaccheaus had 150 targets.
Okay, they'll probably okay. Yeah, all right. So go ahead. What's your Bears takeaway?
Well, I think it's we've kind of put the qualifier on talking about Luther Burden and Colston Loveland a couple times. And I think even a couple hours ago, and one of those qualifiers is gone. If DJ Moore is back, if DJ Moore is gone, he is gone. And I think there's a chance. We're all betting on Burden being that guy. There's a chance for one of those wide receivers. If Burden can come anywhere close to his efficiency from last year in a full-time role, then he could be a top 12 wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Any other thought? I guess where I'm at is like Romo Dunze looked like one of the breakout stories of the year.
Very early on, he did.
Right, and then he got hurt. It was a little touchdown dependent. It wasn't a reliable yardage necessarily. And he got hurt, but he's also the guy that Caleb throws to in the end zone a lot. And Luther Burden had 1 end zone target all year. So I don't know if it's as clear cut, who it's going to be. And
it could end up being Loveland.
They all win.
They all
right.
win. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now I've got Burden and Adunze both at a 21% target share and Loveland at 19. So it's not expressing much confidence in who's going to be first.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to frame it, Jamie. This is such a great trade for fantasy. This is
except for Khalil Shakir.
I mean, look, you get a 2nd-round pick for a 29-year-old wide receiver that you probably wanted to move on from. You get the opportunity to feature your 3 young pass catchers that have the chance to all be superstars. You saw it in flashes last year. You get the chance in Buffalo to get a number 1 wide receiver that the offensive coordinator likes and has a history with. You get Josh Allen, number 1. Like, everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Keon Coleman, Dave.
I don't know who that is. And
Fantasy Cops question.
Oh, okay.
I have a dynasty trade in my inbox of somebody offering me a round 2 pick for Khalil Shakir.
No.
Can't accept it now.
You definitely can't. No.
They knew that they were going to sign somebody. This might actually be better. It's not AJ Brown.
Why don't you accept the trade that I proposed to you?
Because it's awful.
That sounds right.
It's really terrible. You've offered me the 11th and the 12th pick in a 7-player draft for the 3rd pick.
There are more than 7 players in the draft. I offered you 2 first-round picks for 1 first-round pick. Like, do the math.
Somebody else. I have a 3rd pick in a different league, and somebody offered me 10 and 11, and I just said no, thank you.
It's pretty incredible how you butchered this Malik Neighbors thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, how good was my team with Malik Neighbors? It was horrible. Anywho, I think that's about it. Yeah. Oh, no, wait, I wanted to disagree
Isn't
with
it funny that the Bills and Bears made a trade and we somehow talked about the Giants?
We didn't really talk about it. I want to disagree with you on one other thing, Jamie. I don't think this is an overpay for Buffalo. I think
Are you kidding?
No, they have this window. They have to win now. It's like
Schefter reported
just
recently that as part of this deal, they are guaranteeing $15 million of his 2028.
2028. He'll be 30.
So he's under contract for about $40 million for the next
is not what it sounds like, though.
Well, I've sort of for very good wide receivers, it seems like age 32 is when they often start really falling off. The question is just how good DJ Moore is. If he's a really good wide receiver, you probably are going to get 3 very good years out of him, and then he'll be well worth a second pick.
But
second round pick.
15 million is not something I like. I wouldn't worry about that so much. I think the second round pick, like, you may find out next week, like Brian Thomas gets traded for a second round pick. Like that,
right,
is incredible if they could have done that.
Maybe. But I'm, you know what? I think I'm just excited. I was an 8 on the excitement-o-meter. Let's go. All right, everybody. We will again speak to you as the news
does now set the standard of what maybe AJ Brown.
He's going to go for more than this. This also gives the Bears more ammo to make a run at Max Crosby,
or maybe Tyler Lindemann.
Okay, let's talk about the Raiders now, guys. Have a great day. We'll speak to you soon on Fantasy Football Today Express.